Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi there, I'm Amanda Stevens and welcome to another episode of Retail Renegades, where we explore the inside secrets of retail success stories, disruptors and entrepreneurs shaking the establishment, carving new niches and challenging the traditional bricks and mortar retail model. You can join the conversation with us on social media using the hashtag Retail Renegades. Now, my guest today is a prime example of how an evolutionary and open-minded approach to the changing retail landscape is necessary to survive and thrive. He's taken a traditional bricks and mortar business that has been family-owned since 1975 and undergone quite a retail revitalisation. Today, even though his in-store foot traffic is down by over 70%, his revenues are up by over 50%. And today, he's going to share exactly how he's done it. Spiro Dellis, welcome to Retail Renegades.
Thank you.
Now, your story is quite amazing because you own Dellis Furniture, which has been in the family. In fact, it was established in 1975 by your dad.
Yeah. We've been there for a long time. So when my dad first opened up the business in Surrey Hills, he saw that the area being a retail hub in that area because it was residential, commercial and light industrial was a good space to open up a furniture store and service the local community with cheap furniture, basically.
And so that's what the business was in the early days. It was cheap, inexpensive and second-hand furniture. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. In that area, a lot of families basically grew up there and they were looking for cheap furniture. So my dad saw that as a bit of a, I guess,
a need in the market.
Yeah, a need in the market for that area. So yeah.
Yeah. And so when did you take over the business and how have things changed since you took over?
I started working in 2000, just after finishing school. But I didn't really take over the business until about 2009. Yeah.
And that was a pretty tricky time to be taking over a retail business because it's just after the global financial crisis of 2008. So what were some of the early challenges that you had taking over at that time?
It was a really tough time during those years because one of my biggest challenges was firstly my dad. Working with him, we clashed a lot. At the start, I saw a vision of where I wanted the shop to be, and being so successful in what he was doing, he didn't really like what I wanted to do in the changes.
So he wasn't really ready to let go of the reins at that point.
No, I don't think he's ever ready to see change. He's so traditional, and it's worked for him, and he was so successful that. He wasn't ready to let me do what I wanted to do.
Yeah. So how did you overcome some of those challenges? Because I'm imagining that some of our viewers would be either in a family-based business or perhaps even working with friends where you can have that friction where perhaps you don't see eye to eye and you've got to navigate the complexities of that relationship. So what were some of the strategies that you had to overcome that?
At the start, I actually just done what I thought was right behind his back. And
wow.
he didn't really, like that. But when he saw the results that I started getting, it was a lot easier for him and the family to let go and share my vision of where I wanted the shop to be.
So that's a pretty risky maneuver. So rather than ask for permission, you kind of were begging for forgiveness, but you were so confident in what you were doing that you thought, well, I'll do it anyway. And then once they see the results and the success, then perhaps they'll be on board.
Yeah, exactly. Being so stubborn, my dad, really found it difficult at those early years when I wanted to change. So definitely, I think me taking those risks and going behind his back and just doing them anyway and then showing him the results, I think that made it a lot easier for him.
So take us back to that time. It's the first few years of you taking over the business, and the business has been there in the same location in Surrey Hills. And for our viewers who are tuning in overseas, this is in a prime location in Sydney, in Australia, which has undergone a bit of a renaissance of its own. So you've been in the same location selling secondhand furniture, and you come in and you have quite a different vision for the business in terms of the products that you should be selling and what the business and brand should be standing for. How did that change come about?
Surrey Hills changed a lot in those years. Back when my father first started the business, it was all, it was cheap rent, but it changed a lot. Real estate went higher, and I thought there was a bit of a gap in the market for new furniture. So our whole business model changed around that time, and I started selling new furniture instead of secondhand.
And so how did you communicate that to your market? Because I know you're in a prime location. A lot of people know you in that area because you've been there for a long time. So how did you communicate and, I guess, remarket the business to be, hey, we've gone from selling inexpensive secondhand furniture to now we're actually selling, and today you sell quite high-end new furniture. So what was the marketing strategy around that change in business model?
Around that time, a lot of the bigger retailers were building bigger and better websites. So I decided to join that kind of growing trend and basically build a website to firstly showcase our products and then let the local community, as well as build our audience Australia-wide, letting them know that we existed. So that was a big change for us.
Absolutely. And we'll get to your online strategy in a moment, because that's been quite a significant part of your business model in the last few years. So there's been, obviously, that change in your products was significant. But what were some of the other turning points for the business in that period that you took over? Because things did get a bit hairy there. We've known each other for a few years now, and I know that financially the business was going backwards for a significant amount of time, and there were some points where you were perhaps thinking about throwing in the towel? Yeah.
I remember back then my dad wanted to close a store, and he wanted me to become a salesperson at another retailer like Harvey Norman. He said it on a number of occasions. But the turning point for me was I got a business coach. I got a business coach to basically come in and help me, and I think that was our biggest change. It was a bit of a turning point for us, and I think that was a big step for us ahead. And I wanted to prove to my father, as well as the rest of the family, that the goals I had, were right. So it got easier from that point on.
Yeah, so you're pretty motivated, obviously, to prove everyone wrong. What are some of the things that the business coach gave you? Because I think this is a really interesting lesson for a lot of people who are viewing, particularly retailers and particularly entrepreneurs, that hiring a business coach and bringing them into your business and sharing the ins and outs of the business is a pretty big step. So what were some of the things that the business coach gave you that perhaps, or skills that you didn't have in the business? Just knowledge.
I didn't know a lot. Leaving high school, I didn't know anything about business at all. I flunked at business studies, and I was a bit of a class clown at school, so I didn't really, I always knew I had the business to fall back on, and I knew I was going to be the one taking over the business. So I guess the business coach, it was more knowledge for me, learning a lot of things that I didn't really know, and then using those skills and implementing what they had taught me to then take that business to the next level.
And around about that time, you also tried some other things that were quite even more of a shift in the business model as well. For example, you went into commercial furniture as well. Tell us about that. What was the sort of the inspiration for that, and how did you launch that division of the business?
I kind of, it was a moment where I thought, I'm selling furniture to the residential market, and where else could I start selling this furniture? And the commercial market is so big that I thought, why not start getting into that industry as well, in that kind of market? So we opened up a commercial division, and it's something that I'm growing even now. So that was a huge kind of part of us growing, because a couple commercial jobs down the track, and you can really lift those, the increased revenue.
Absolutely. So you've obviously seen a lot of change. I mean, there's been a lot of change since the business started in 1975, but since you took over in 2009, what are some of the changes that you've seen in consumer trends and needs, and how they're perhaps their expectations of a retailer? How is that? What trends have you seen in that area?
The furniture industry itself has changed so much in the last 15 years. The way people shop now compared to the way people used to shop has changed dramatically. In our business, we saw our consumers wanting to compare our products with other people's products before they even stepped out of the home. So they were doing a lot of research at home and before even coming in, and now with online sales, they don't even leave the house. So, we've seen a huge change in how they shop and what they're shopping for as well. We're trying to push the business towards Australian-made products. So quality for us over I guess quantity with lower margins is where we've gone, and that's helped us a lot in increasing our profits.
So tell me about you were, as you said, you were quite early to jump on and develop an online strategy because you could kind of see where that was going. What percentage of business now comes from your online channels? We'll get to social media in a moment because you've got some quite interesting insights around that. But what percentage of your sales are coming either directly or as a result of an online interaction?
Well, as you were saying before, because our foot traffic has decreased by so much, we knew that we really had to push our online presence further up the ranks to get all those, the audience basically finding us. At the moment, the number of people who are buying from us online and finding us through our website has increased year after year and keeps increasing. So it's.
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.